Shane Van Gisbergen and Trackhouse Racing officially completed the 2025 Rolex 24, and they finished 9th in the GTD Pro class and 25th overall. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. As I just said a second ago, Shane Van Gisbergen has officially completed the 2025 Rolex 24 at Daytona International Speedway and finishes 25th overall and 9th in the GTD class. Early event, the number 91 car, they actually showed a lot of speed during the Roar test and also the practice sessions early in the week. They qualified around 9th or 10th position in the event. Early in the race, they struggled early. The 91 car just didn't have the overall speed. It looked like the Corvettes just overall, the 4, the 3, and the number 91 Trackhouse car, which had Shane Van Gisbergen, Connor Zilisch, Scott McLaughlin, and Ben Keating. Early in the race, I believe it was Connor Zilisch who started inside the car. And the car just did not have the pace and speed in the early portion of the event. Connor would start the event up around 10th, 9th, or 10th position. They actually got a couple positions early in the race, the number 91 car did. But then they faded back quite a bit. Their pit stops weren't that good. And on the long run, the number 91 car just really struggled. They showed really good speed on the early runs. But as the run progressed and went on, the 91 just didn't have the pace and speed to keep up front. Then we had some cautions happen, and they got to night. And this is when the 91 car really started showing a little bit more speed. In the second half of the race, guys like Shane Van Gisbergen, Scott McLaughlin got behind the wheel. Scott McLaughlin actually did a really good job behind the wheel of the number 91 machine. And then Shane got the chance and opportunity to get behind the wheel of the number 91 car and actually really showed some really good speed. He started moving up a ton of positions. Now, a couple big names in the race, the number 9 Pfaff Motorsports car and the 48 Paul Miller Motorsports machine got caught up in a really big incident that took place around 7 hours in the race. Unfortunately, number 40 Wayne Taylor Racing machine hit the outside wall and ricocheted back across the track. Multiple LMP2 cars got collected, and the two strongest cars in the GTD Pro class got collected in the wreck as well. That would take them out of contention, meaning the SVG and the number 91 car, which did not get collected in the wreck, they would move up a ton of positions. And after the big one had happened, they were running around 30th or 35th overall in the event, but because a lot of the major contenders got taken out of that contention, they were able to move up a ton of positions inside of the top 30. And pretty much for the rest of the night, they would stay inside of the top 30 and be around that 5th or 6th position in the middle portion of the race. But then the 91 car during the nighttime really started coming to life. That's where kind of they had a lot of speed during the Roar and had a lot of speed during the weeks as well up to it. They weren't as strong in the day, but they were really good in the night. And as the night progressed and went on, they started making really good adjustments, and they were starting to move their way toward the front and got up as far as second. And they were actually battling for the race lead at one point in the middle portion of the race with Shane Van Gisbergen behind the wheel of this seat. Unfortunately, they just lost a little bit of the handling as the day went on, and they started fading back on the longer runs. They're really good on the restarts, but they started fading back quite a bit as we got to the second half of the race, and they fell back to around 9th or 10th position and fell outside the top 10. Also, like I said, their pit stops were not that good, and they were losing a ton of ground. And then they started moving their way back up to the front. And by the middle portion, the later portion stayed as the race as we got to daytime. They were inside the top 8 of the race, still on the lead lap. And the most important thing is you've got to stay on the lead lap in your class. And they were starting to catch up and move their way toward the front of their class. And then, as we got to the latter stages of the race, the 91 car really started showing up. They got that car a lot better, and Connor Zilisch got behind the wheel, and that's when this car really came to life. Connor Zilisch had been the fastest of the 4 drivers behind the wheel throughout the whole entire event, and he was starting to really make some really good passes with a car that was not that strong and just did not have the pace and speed, because like I said, the Corvettes just struggled. They were starting to move up to the front, and he was inside the top 5. And then, unfortunately, near the end of the event, with about an hour and a half left to go, Connor Zilisch would make one of the rarest mistakes he's made since being a race car driver. He was sent it way too hard in the corner. The tires locked up and ran into the 18 Orca car, the number 18 car that Ryan Dial pretty much owns. They would end up spinning out, which, funny enough, I think that's the same car that Connor drove last year to win with Era Motorsports last year. Unfortunately, that would at the time take them out of contention, fall back to 6th position, and they got a little bit of damage, which unfortunately affected them. And then we got to the final restart of the race, and Connor would be restarting around 6th or 7th position on the final restart. Unfortunately, they would make a mistake going down the long straightaway on the back in the bus stop. They just basically would run into the grass. They come up to the track. They clip another car. I'm pretty sure it might have been the 20 car, if I'm not mistaken. And unfortunately, they would get a drive-through penalty. This would end any sort of chance and opportunity for the number 91 car to have a chance to get up front. They would get a drive-through penalty. They would finish a lap down in their class, and they would come off the corner while the number, I believe it was the number 65 in the GT Pro cars would go to victory lane, the 65 Multimatic Chevy Ford with Olsen, Verbiage, and Mies. And then, of course, Ostenderke was competing in this event. He would finish third, but unfortunately, they wouldn't get up high up there, and they would come off the corner and finish in 9th in the class and 25th overall in the event. Just want to give a congratulations, of course, to the main guys who won the race, Team Penske. Really cool to see Team Penske once again go back-to-back. They won the race overall. And going back now to the car that finished in 9th, the Trackhouse car. Like I mentioned and said, they just never had the overall speed to be up front all night. They were really, really struggling. They didn't have the pace in the daytime. They just didn't have the adjustments to really be up front. And I think that if they do this once again, which I'd have to think that Trackhouse Racing is going to try to do this again in 2026, could they do the Corvettes again? It is certainly possible, but I would love to see them try to go bigger and go for GTP, because I think all four of these guys behind the wheel, Ben Keating, Connor Zilisch, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Scott McLaughlin, I think all four drivers would realistically have a great chance and opportunity to go for the overall win if they're able to do that. They did a very solid job with the car they had, though. Again, the car they had just wasn't there all evening and into the day. They got better as the day went on, like I said, but the car just struggled. No horsepower. They lacked speed on the straightaways. Thank you, BOP, for screwing them on that area. And they just couldn't keep up with the Mercedes, the Multimatic cars. They just weren't there most of the night. It's a shame to see them not have a chance to win and make that mistake at the end of the day. And now, two of those drivers focus on 2025 on the NASCAR side. Shane Van Gisbergen will be going and running his first Daytona 500 and will also be running his first Clash this week as well as NASCAR makes his comeback and return. Shane's going to be competing against a lot of guys in the Cup Series, guys like Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez, his teammates, for the first time at Trackhouse Racing. And then, of course, you have guys like Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace in the field as well. Chase Elliott, who's going to be strong. Joe Logano, defending champion. Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, all those guys when we do get to the Clash this week. And then, of course, for Connor Zilisch, the focus is going to be running the Xfinity Series of Junior Motorsports and being teammates with Carson Quaffle and going for the Rookie of the Year honors with Carson, going up against him and guys like Taylor Gray and William Sawalich this year. And, of course, other big names in the sport. Macy Chandler Smith, maybe if he starts in Xfinity, who knows at this point, and Harrison Burns replacing Haley Deegan this year. There's a lot of competition those guys are going to have to go up against in this season, and I think that SVG is going to have a long and fun season to watch as he becomes a full-time rookie. I think he's got a great chance to win the Rookie of the Year honors this year in the NASCAR Cup Series and that number 88 car, which we know that the Trackhouse cars are going to be quicker than the Call car that he drove last year, which he got 3 wins in Xfinity Series competition. Again, it would have been really cool to see SVG have the chance and opportunity to win with the car that he had, but just like I said, didn't have the pace and speed to be up front, and they really struggled all evening. It took themselves out of contention with the mistake they made. It is what it is still. It was really fun to see Shane get the chance and opportunity to run the Rolex 24 this year. I do actually think it'd be really cool for them to run in the GT class once again, but I also would love to see Shane Van Gisbergen have the chance and opportunity to run, like I said, overall. Go for GTP. It'd be really fun to see that. Good run, regardless, with all things considered. They finished 9th in the class, 25th overall. Good to see Shane have fun. He said he had a lot of fun. He didn't have fun with the difficulties of the car, but he did have a lot of fun, all things considered. A solid night for Shane to get himself a finish inside the top 10 in the class. At least they finished the race, and I think they finished on the lead lap as well, almost. So they did a good job, all things considered. It was cool to see them compete in this year's Rolex 24, and I hope that Trackhouse once again will run the Rolex 24 in 2026 and maybe go for the GTP class. So, that is going to be today's special video on Shane Van Gisbergen and Trackhouse Racing in the Rolex 24. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. List goes below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. How do you think Shane Van Gisbergen performed at the Rolex 24? Let me your thoughts in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about Trackhouse Racing performance at this year's Rolex? Let me your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple of days. We're going to talk a little bit about Casey Kane. We'll talk more about Trackhouse Racing and the Rolex 24 as well, and what the future lies for the team potentially doing it. We'll be talking about people like Haley Deegan, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Walls, you name it, all this stuff. We've got the Clash intros dropping Tuesday, which that's going to be really fun. And we've got some great content. Other people like Cletus McFarland, Frankie Muniz, Elio Castroneves, who's running the Daytona 500 with the team, Chandler Swift, Eric Almirola, all that good stuff, along with other people in Xfinity like Jesse Love, Carson Quaffle, you name it. All this will be dropping on the channel really soon as we get close to the start of the season. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.